All right. It is November 15th at 5:08 Mountain Standard Time. And today we're going to go through our Scrum, and then we're going to have Jason teach us about application control pattern. I'll start off with the Scrum. This week I was able to, actually today, I submitted all of my UML diagrams and test groups. So I have everything submitted for that. And I also have in the list of code topics, I'm almost done with Java collections. I just have tree left, and I have something to turn in for threads, executors, runnables, and Android handlers, and application control pattern. So I still have 5 topics to come up with something. I've been working on it all day today, so it's been a pretty good day. But for me, stumbling block, I guess, are the 3 Hibernate, JSON, and HTTP URL. So I think I can come up with something with MVC and servlets pretty easy. But I'm going to keep chugging at it, I guess. So, Gabe, you want to go ahead and go?
Sure. I submitted, using the new Dropbox, I submitted topics for, what was it, serverlets and HTTP URL connections. And I got feedback of disagree at least to both of those, plus Hibernate and Java collections. So now I'm only missing JSON, JUnit, threads, and application control pattern. We talked about last meeting about basically just giving a presentation on it as a way to get to the disagree point so that we can then incorporate stuff into our program. I think that's probably what I'm going to end up doing, because I'm not finding a lot of code for things like threads. JUnit, I may be able to submit something I've already got and incorporate it into JUnit as a test to see if he'll give me actually better than just to disagree on 4 of the things that I turn in at the same time. It'd be Hibernate, lists, or Java collection using lists, and MVC, and then JUnit at the same time. See if I can get all 4 of those turned in and get a better than a disagree out of that. So that'll leave me JSON, which I'm not really sure what to do on that other than a presentation. Threads, which again, it's a presentation. I'm not finding anything that helps me to turn in. And then application control pattern, I really don't know what I'm going to do on that. So it looks like a presentation also. And that's where I'm at.
Nice. Mark, go ahead.
Okay, so for me, I am making some progress. I have submitted, let me pull up my screen again, everything except for threads, executables, runnables, and application control patterns. So that's both for UML and coding topics. Those are the last 2 I have to submit to get anything back from. On Saturday, I submitted 6 different topics. Some would hopefully will move me up to the agree status for like using Hibernate, and the other ones I'm hoping will do something well there. So currently, I guess my stumbling block are the 2 I haven't done yet because I haven't done a lot of time to research on, but I think that is hopefully after today I'll have time to on there and to get everything done and submitted and ready to go by the end of the week. And then I'm just currently working on submitting them to the iLearn Dropbox, and I did everything else through email so far, and he came back and said thank you, and that's all he said about the one I submitted to him. So at least he acknowledged that he got it. I think on that, yeah, I think that's where I'm at so far.
Sweet. Sounds like you're pretty far along. So
I'm only far along because you guys helped me out with everything. I'm not taking credit for that.
all right, Jason, you want to go ahead?
Yep. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I have 2 topics left to cover in order to get everything turned in by this week. That is application control pattern and threads. Last week I turned in everything else. Hibernate, JSON. I did some more work. URL. I have not heard back from him. I put it in the Dropbox and I emailed him, and he emailed me back about 10 minutes after I emailed him back. He said, "Hey, please put this in the Dropbox." And I said, "Well, I did. I just wanted to make sure you got it." And he said, "Thank you." That's all I've heard back from him. So I don't know how I did on the other topics. I don't really have a stumbling blocks other than time. I talked to a guy today who is a C++ programmer. Looked over the thread stuff and said, "Oh yeah, it's very similar." So I at least have a resource. It's just a matter of a couple of adding a couple lines to a already existing program. So I don't really see threads as a stumbling block. An application control pattern, kind of the same thing. It's not really. It's just time right now, finding the time to get everything in by Saturday. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, Jason.
Mhm.
You missed this in the beginning. We're talking about the Dropbox.
Right.
The rubric is added to the very bottom of the Dropbox, and when he, if you get an email that says your current grade is, which mine keeps saying F.
F. Yeah.
You keep getting those emails. That means he's done something in the Dropbox.
Well, no,
So,
I haven't gotten an email. I just saw that I have an F.
Okay.
So you're saying that
So
on there is.
go into the Dropbox, into the submission window.
Okay.
At the very bottom, it says, "Well done, you've completed this assignment." To the right of that, it says assessment. It gives you your grade. There's a line right underneath that says code topics rubric. Click on that and it pops open your rubric and what grade he's given you.
Choose existing. Oh, okay. Assessment rubric. Mine's blank. There's nothing in there.
Okay, then he hasn't graded anything for you.
Yeah, there's nothing in here.
There's no link that says or any kind of rubric.
I mean, there's a rubric there, yes, but it's blank.
Oh yeah.
Blank.
Yeah.
So you got 0 points on everything with feedback.
Okay.
So he hasn't graded anything for you then.
Yep.
And he's probably bombarded because it's week 10 and he's got to get everything graded.
Right. He emailed me immediately after I emailed him on Saturday. So
Yeah.
he must have been on. He just said, "Make sure you put this in the Dropbox," and I did. I said, "I did." And he said, "Okay, perfect." So he at least responded that he got it.
He graded mine on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, on mine I told him I will submit it to Dropbox as well. I just haven't done that yet.
Okay, and that's fine. I mean, I don't need to know right away. I know what I need to work on. So
Yeah, he graded mine on Monday night at 8:30 or 8:13. So.
Okay.
But if you do get an email that says your current grade is, that typically means he did something in the Dropbox with your account.
Okay.
So you should probably go in there and see what feedback he's given you if you know you've submitted something.
All right, I'll watch for that.
And we'd said earlier, I'd been using when you submit stuff, that if I do one coding topic, I submit it as one topic, but if I do multiple, then I submit all of them at the same time in the same submission. Because it kind of does a little block window when you do the submissions. So it kind of helps to block them out and say, look, I've submitted something for that. So.
Okay.
Sweet. All right. I guess, are you ready for your presentation, Jason?
I am.
Awesome. Take it away.
All right. I'm screen sharing, but I don't know which screen I'm sharing. So let's see. Okay, where is the presentation? There we go. Are you guys seeing the presentation, or are you seeing the one that you shouldn't be seeing?
I'm seeing the one presentation with the notes.
All right, how about now? Right one?
Presentation.
Okay. Application control pattern is not as complex as I've been making it out to be. It's very similar to the model view control pattern. It's just more complex, or you use it in more complex programs. So the idea behind it is to centralize control, retrieval, and all of that stuff in a view or in a single controller class, as opposed to having multiple controllers in your application. And so this is kind of just a definition of a controller. What does the controller do? Well, it identifies and dispatches to views, and it also talks to the model. But there at the bottom is I just, in my own words, that's what I said. As an application gets more complex, you can start unknowingly duplicating code. And the application control pattern is set up to where you can start reusing code by pointing back to your a separate control, and that's where the application control pattern comes from. So the way, where would you use this? Imagine an application on an Android where you're filling out a form. What's your name? What's your address? Like you're signing up for a service of some sort. Each one of those screens that ask you for information would be a separate view. So now we fill out part of the form and click next. That sends the data that you're typing into the controller, which then send it to the model or a database or whatever. So the idea here is each one of those views, I click next, say, now it's asking me for my address, my social security number, or whatever. That would be a separate code for that next screen, but you could reuse the same controller. So that's what it means by wizard-driven program that asks a user to enter information screen by screen. So it all keeps reusing the same type of code that writes to your database over and over again for different view classes, but you're using the same controller. So I'm not going to read all that, but in a nutshell, that's what that slide there says. Reusing chunks of information over and over again to save you some space. This is kind of a sample sequence diagram of a transaction. You know, you have your view, you have your application controller and an input controller. Domain command would be the model. So I'm not even going to talk about that because I don't know why I even put that in there. This is more what it needs to be. And it's kind of a graphical, what I was just talking about. You have separate views, all using separate class files, like a view.class, a view1.class. All of those can share the same application controller front end. That application controller, I was looking at some sample code of one that's written in this pattern, and the controller was a couple hundred lines long. And I don't really think there's a limit to how long your file can be. The whole thing is less is more. You don't want more class file after class file after class file going and reusing the same code over and over again that you could refer to one time. And if you think about it, some little tiny snippets of code that we're writing, it might not be a big deal. But if you have 1 million lines of code, this could cut down your lines of code considerably if a lot of that is excess or code that can be reused or recycled. I've got a code sample that I'll show you. That's it kind of shows that complexity. If I can just get NetBeans open here. Okay. Look what I have. Hey, can you guys see the magnified over there? Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Oh,
How'd you do that?
Oh, there's just a little mouse button. I programmed a mouse button to magnify. So this package has three. This project has three separate packages, and you can see that there's a controller here in the main. There's a control under here in config, and then there's a login controller. I don't really want to go through and talk about what the program does per se, but and we kind of figured this out on our own. Gabe and I did last week after our meeting on Thursday or Saturday, to where we could really get out of here. We could reuse a couple of lines here over and over again. Hang on, how do I get out of here? There we go. So if you look at the controller here and the one here, that's the view. Hang on, control. See, there's really no need to put this in a separate controller file in a package that's part of the same project when it can be duplicated or called from a central place. So the idea here is this first controller Java, get rid of it. Yes, we're just going to delete it. I'm not going to really refactor. Who cares about that? The program will still function as long as the parts of it that need to be reused point to where that code is shown. So that's pretty much it. That's all there is to application control pattern. You have a controller, which is your main controller for your application. And when Brother Tuckett said there's not a lot out there, he was not lying. It's really not a coding topic like, hey, we're going to learn a new way to program something, or a new method, or a new something in Java. It's more of just an idea or a concept of how you go about programming or developing an application. It helps you to be more efficient, helps you to use best practice. And when there's more people involved in your project than just you, it really helps people understand your code a lot better, or easier to follow without pointers all over the place and having to document your code. So that's it in a nutshell. And now what we need to do is go through an application that we've written and turn it into this format, which may or may not happen because most of my programs have one control class. So that's it. Any questions?
I think I'm good.
Yeah, I don't have any questions.
Not a lot to it.
Yeah, I remember giving this presentation earlier. Kind of the same deal.
Okay.
Sweet.
All right. Well, do we want to go ahead and end? And
I think we're good.
Well, let's work on our topics.
all right, stopping the broadcast.